Hey guys, I am back from the Miami Regional. I did absolutely terrible and it's all my fault. So no results to put in there. But I have a video for you guys going over the Emu versus Emu mirror match from the Edinburg Regional, however you say it. And what I noticed is you guys have been very charitable to me recently. I've had an explosion on my Metafy, but I haven't been as charitable to you guys as of late. So starting today, I will be giving, I do a group session that I coach people with. I'm going to be posting the one free one every 4 or 5 weeks for you guys that you guys can kind of go over, and it'll help you guys get better. And then also I'm going to start doing master classes for decks that I don't really primarily focus on. Like I'm mainly gonna play Emu this set, but I'm gonna be doing master classes for like Ace. I'm gonna be doing master classes for Zoro, and that might actually hurt me in tournaments, but you guys have been great to me, so I'm gonna be great to you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get to the mirror match.
Hard Pirates TCG.
Alright guys, so both players are going to be starting out, of course, with the Mary Joa stage, and what we're going to be just going over is board state and a bunch of stuff like that. And I have my little thing right here, that way I can kind of commentate on what's going on and kind of give you guys a good play. Now, right off the bat, I just want to go ahead and pause it just real quick. I do think this was a mistake by our player Christian right here, and the reason being is he used his leader effect after he played the Charlos here. And the reason that's important is because if he uses his leader effect first and he pitches this card, then what could happen is he could find a card like a Elders at Your Service, the event, or he could find a Charlia, and he can use that to play on his 1-Don turn instead of the Charlos right here. Because the Charlos is a great card in the mirror match, don't get me wrong, but you want to sequence it in a way where if you are going first, if you don't have a searcher, you want to prioritize having as many searchers in the trash as possible. I'm sorry, as many cards in the trash as possible at the very beginning of your turn. Now, there is a good little like bait you can do. This could be a mind game, so I'm not sure. But Christian, what he could do is he could pretend that he doesn't have 7 in the trash, and he could bait the Emu player into, or the Kevin player into searching for, like, for example, a Mars when he could search for something else because he thinks he can punish him because he doesn't have 7 in the trash to protect from removal. So that could be what he was doing, but I'm not really a huge fan of that sequence personally. I just wanted to go ahead and point that out though. And this is what we're going to be doing for the entire video, is we're just going to be talking about like small idiosyncrasies, sequencing, reads, examining board state, because I just want to make sure that you guys get the best possible content. And I know this is what I used to do before, and I've been slacking a little bit, so I definitely apologize. Now, he does throw away the GARP event here. The GARP event actually is not good in this matchup. Early on, especially if you don't have the ability to fuel your trash, because it does have that effect where you need 10 in the trash to get the card back, and right now he just doesn't have that ability to do so. Now he does grab the Mars, and the Mars is incredibly powerful if you do have the ability to actually use it on 5, and it looks like he's going to be able to use it because unless this guy like quadruple searches, then he's not going to be able to have 7 in the trash unless he goes like, you know, well, actually, I guess there really is like technically no way because he only has 1 in the trash right now. So if you are going first as a Emu player, obviously you are not favored at all. However, if you are going first and you do get the Mars on your 5-Don turn and then you kill whatever he plays here, then it actually is a really powerful tempo play. And I believe Kevin knows it. Now, what Kevin could do in response is he could play something like a Workury. So when it does die to the Mars, at least he does draw a card. But same thing technically with the Saturn if he decides to play Saturn, because the Saturn technically just draws a card no matter what because you search the top 5 from your deck. So, he is going to play an At Your Service and grab a Charlos. I do believe that is probably the best call. Charlos is actually only a 1 cost blocker when you do have the Mary Joa stage, which is nice. Now, normally when you go first, you want to kind of push the tempo a little bit. He does start right out with a War, okay? So he is going to get his thing popped, but he's going to get value from it. So yeah, you would normally want to push tempo going first, and this is exactly why you, like, how you can do it. So he's going to just start out immediately. The reason that you don't attack first, guys, is because if they trigger something, if you attack into life first, the reason that you play this body first is if you attack into life and they trigger like an at your service, then obviously they get 7 in trash, and then, you know, this can't really activate its effect. So you don't want to take any risks. You don't want to, you know, you don't want anything like that. So you just want to play it out first. That way you can get the easy KO, get that off the board, and now you have a huge tempo lead in your favor. So normally you would follow something like this up with like double Saturn, and then it's like the player going first has a huge advantage. Now I do agree with swinging into his board here, because let me go ahead and pause it just real quick. The reason you swing into your board, I know a lot of people are kind of hesitant on attacking into the board and like turning this character sideways, like this one right here, and sometimes that's justified if you can't protect it, but he does have protection in the form of a Charlos right here. He does technically have a blocker, which you don't really want to use, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is the fact that Emu, whenever they go second, they want to play 2 bodies on their 6 dawn turn, right? Because it allows you to push tempo, it allows you to, you know, gain a lot of advantage, and this is a battle of resources at the end of the day. However, there is a turn potentially where you can nose draw, but if he would have nose draw on his 6 dawn turn, it would actually be way, way, way worse for him, right? It wouldn't be nearly as good. So this is a really good opportunity to turn this character sideways to get the cards from their hand or take their life out, and you're not really punished for it because if they do nose draw, then you have a blocker right here, and then you can just easily like block. They swing 5 into your 3, so this is a 3, and the nose draw is going to be a 5, and you easily just block with the Charlos right here, and then they go, let's just say 6 into your 3, and you can just block and then give them a 1k. I believe I gotta double check that if Mars is a blocker. I know War is actually only a blocker when you have 7 in trash. I think Mars is a blocker no matter what, but I actually don't even know. That type of situation doesn't come up too often, but it does come up often. I mean, it came up here, so it could be the case. But he does only have 5 in the trash here. Now he could respond with a Mars on his own, which isn't horrible. Like I said, it's like really not a horrible play, but technically you don't really want to do that because it's just like, it's just not enough tempo in my opinion. Like just killing the Saturn, pitching your own card to do that, only playing 1 body, I just don't think is good enough in my opinion. So he's gonna go 5 into the Saturn here. He doesn't have a whole lot of cards in hand. That's the unfortunate part about playing the Mars right here, is the Mars, while it does take a body off their board, it does technically cost you 2 cards in hand, which I'm just not a huge fan of, if I'm being honest. But you know, you already are on the losing side if you are going first, and you know, sometimes you have to kind of put yourself in bad positions to be able to win the game, to apply enough pressure. Now he's going to go Saturn into Saturn, which is really strong. Usually like the person that sees the most Saturns in a game is going to win it. And right now it is 2-1. So it looks like the Kevin player definitely has like a much better hand size, but he is starting off with the on the back foot here. So let me go ahead and just pause the video real quick so I can go ahead and explain what's going on here. So you guys are going to see a mistake. I watched this on the plane coming back from Miami, but this guy only has 6 cards in trash. He's going to go to 7 cards in trash after he uses leader effect. So his Jupiter, he's going to play a Jupiter here. It doesn't actually work because Jupiter has to have 10 cards in the trash to give all of these guys 7k. So this guy made a huge mistake doing that. But if we're being honest, like I really don't think that this is a great turn to play a Jupiter, even if you did have 10 cards in trash, because they can just take 1 and then counter out of the other with 2 cards. And I mean, I guess it wouldn't be horrible because he does have the never existed in hand plus the Charlos, so it actually wouldn't be bad. But ideally, especially if you're ahead of your opponent in terms of like board state, because you're starting the board, you're starting your turn with 2 bodies plus your leader, so you're going to take 3 cards from their hand, or like or some life in some variation of that, and that's normally very good because it allows you to apply a lot of pressure to their hand size while also developing a board. But that's the second part. You have to develop a board. Normally you want to go like Saturn and then another Saturn on your 7 dawn turn, especially if you already have the advantage that you have right here with Saturn, and Mars. So you kind of want to just like push tempo a little bit, keep taking cards out of their hand, and then when you have like go the Battle of Nosedro, or play the Jupiter, if you have like 3 bodies on the board, that can be 7k, and then you just kind of attack into life or attack into their board, whichever one is more fitting at the time. So I think playing the Jupiter here is a mistake. However, if we are looking at his hand, he doesn't have anything else. This is a little bit of a low roll for him in terms of like just being able to start his engine. That's the only thing I think is unfortunate about Emu, is I think Emu has the highest floor, but definitely has the highest ceiling, but definitely has the lowest floor. You don't really have the ability to like just be as consistent, even though you draw 2 cards, as a deck like Ace, because Emu is a combo deck. You need 10 cards in the trash, and then you need searchers to do that, and then you need a Saturn, and then you need a Mars to kill their 5, and it's just a lot of like things that you need at a very specific time. And while Ace is just like play Marco on 4, draw 3 cards if it dies, and then those 3 cards are probably going to find me my Jozu. It's like you just need like 1 card each turn, right? Whereas like Emo, you kind of need like way more than that. You need at least 2. So he is going to play the Jupiter here. Like I said, this is a huge mistake because he only has 7 in the trash right here. Definitely am not a huge fan of that at all. He's gonna give him 2 cards here. Now I will say I'm not a huge fan of the sequencing either, guys. Normally what you do is whenever, and I put this on my Metafy guide as well, but if you're going to take an attack, you might as well take the last attack. So for example, like, why not just counter, like take the first 7, like if this was a 7, and then counter the second 7. And the reason being is because you could find a card that you add to your hand from your life that is actually more beneficial for you to counter with. And you want to wait to counter with the cards that are most beneficial to your hand. Or I'm sorry, most beneficial for you. So for example, like you could have like, let's just say he only has a 2k and a Nosedro, right? And he needs a 2k to 1k, so that, he gets out of it. But you don't really want to, counter with the Nosedro, because you want, instead of the Nosedro going to the trash, you want it to go on the board. So usually you would take this hit right here, especially if it's going to be the same amount either way, and you would just take the 7 and then counter the second 7, because you could find something like maybe a Charlia that you don't need, and you can just, instead of adding that to your hand and then trashing the Nosedro, you put the Charlia in the trash and you keep the Nosedro in hand. So normally you want to sequence it in that way. I just wanted to break that down for you guys. I'm going to fast forward it just a little bit here. But he is going to make a huge mistake in giving him the 2 cards. Even with that, this is still looking pretty favored now for Christian, because I just don't think this was a great turn. Normally, I'm not a huge fan. I put this in my Emu Metafy guide as well. I'm not a huge fan of going Jupiter on 7 unless like you just have like some insane advantage. Like you have like Jupiter. I mean, he does have the, what is it called? Like never existed plus a Charlos. But his hand size is running out, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep pausing it real quick. I'm hoping you guys don't mind, but I think he only has like 3 cards in hand, and this is a perfect opportunity for the Nosedro that I was talking about earlier to go to the board, right? And if the Nosedro goes to the board, he could have as many like of these guys as he wants. Like he could have like the Never Existed and the Blocker, but he's gonna be taking technically 4 attacks, right? And if you only have 3 cards in hand, the 4 attacks are really gonna hurt. Right? Like you might be able to get out of one of them with the Charlos. You're going to get out of one of them with the Never Existed. But these 2 are still probably dead. So that's the issue, is like when you run out of cards like that, that's why I say the Battle of Saturn is really important. Because when you run out of cards like that, it's really tough for you to be able to stay in the game, especially if they do have a Nosedro and then they can apply a little bit of protection on their own. So he is going to go, I think he's going to go 5 here. I think this is a mistake if he does go 5. It doesn't look like he has Nosedro in his hand, but I don't think he's used his leader effect first. And guys, I put this, I keep referring to the Metafy guide, but it really is good. Like if you guys want to upgrade your game, check that out, because there's a lot of really great information in there. There's so many people that have gotten their first tops from it, so I'm excited for them. And you guys have been showing love, so I'm glad you guys have been supporting me in that way. But if you guys haven't gotten it, like you got to get it. It'll open up your eyes to this. But Anyway, you want so he doesn't use his leader effect. I'm pretty sure he doesn't use his leader effect. And it normally you want to use your leader effect first to see if you like what kind of options you have. Then that way you can figure out how much dawn you need to navigate the rest of your turns. So if you use your leader effect, I'm not sure if he did use that leader effect or not to use the equilibrium. Let me just double check real quick. Okay, he did. All right, never mind. He's good. So he has the nose draw here. That's a nose draw in his hand. I'm pretty sure. The altars are a little hard to see, but I'm pretty sure that's the nose draw. I think starting with a 5 here is a mistake. I think starting with a 5 is a mistake. Why not just start with the nose draw and then? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter either way because the nose draw is going to reduce the one it doesn't attack into. He's going to play the Jupiter, though. I'm not a huge fan of the Jupiter here, guys. I know this guy ended up winning the, like, spoiler alert, this guy, Kevin, ended up winning the entire tournament. So he's obviously good with Emu. He might even be better than me. But what I've noticed is sometimes there's people that are, you know, either not as good as you or not good at all that do actually make some pretty viable points sometimes. So this could be one of them. I'm not a huge fan of the Jupiter or the Jupiter here because he only has 2 attacks, like I said, into his characters, and he can just never existed one and to get out of this one, and then he can block with the Charlos to get out of this one. So like I think the nose draw is actually just like significantly better, and with the nose draw, I think you not only get more attacks into life, or I'm sorry, more attacks on board, but you also get the ability to apply a lot of tempo. Now, like because your opponent has a low hand size, you need to change your game plan, because normally on your 8 dawn turn, that is like when you want to play Jupiter, right? But sometimes you need to change your game plan based on what your opponent's representing in their hand. And in this situation, your opponent only has 3 cards in hand. So I actually think that the Jupiter applies way more pressure than just the nose draw applies way more pressure than just the Jupiter here. So that's what I would say. Obviously these guys are good players, but look at that. He just easily gets out of it. Whereas in my example, he doesn't have nearly as much value as with the Jupiter as he would with the nose draw. But now we are getting to a point where we are okay. So let's check out the board state real quick. And then breakfast is almost ready, so I got to you know, come back and make the game 2 or whatever. But we're getting to a point now. Let's check out the board state. This guy, I believe. Let me just unpause it just real quick. See how many cards he has in hand. I think he has 4. I think he has 4. 4. Okay. All right. So that's what we needed to read it real quick. So he has 4 cards in hand. This guy, I believe, has 3 cards in hand. And he has 1 blocker. These are all 7s. That's good. Now, as the player going first, you have to realize that, and then he has 2 life as opposed to 3 life. So technically, the Christian is starting his turn with an advantage because he's able to push a lot of tempo. Now, if it were me, I'm pretty sure he doesn't find the nose drawer here, which does really suck. But if it were me, I would be looking for a way to push tempo into life. And then you do exactly what I was doing in that treasure cup video that I posted, is you force these guys to turn into this, right? So it's like, if you can pressure life and put this guy at like 1 life or even like 0 life, even, you know, even better, put him at 0, then what's going to happen is they have to respect your board, because the second you attack into their life, if these guys stay on the board, right, and whatever else you play like for your turn, then they're all pushing life on top of the nose draw, on top of the leader. So they're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then, you know, maybe even a 6th attack if they do find the nose draw. And when you're at 0 life or even 1 life with 4 cards in hand, or like something similar to that line, you're going to lose, right? You're going to die. So even though you do have technically the hand advantage with 4, he's starting his turn with all of his dawn here, and he can just go and eat your life over and over again and force you to go on the back foot. Now, the only way that he could lose is if these guys just all turn into life and he has, I'm sorry, this is like probably pretty confusing. The only way this guy can lose is if all of these go into life and ignore his board, and he has like no counter in hand. That's pretty much the only way he can lose. But he definitely needs to put pressure on his opponent, and I think he went about this turn like the completely wrong way. And I have nothing, nothing. I just want to say, guys, I have nothing against these guys, right? Christian or Kevin. Obviously, they got a fucking cereal with this deck, and I did not, right? I finished 12th. These guys are in the finals. So obviously, they did better than me in their respective tournament. So congrats to them. But I'm just pointing out something that I noticed based on my experience with this game. All right. Because I'm not going to lie, bro. Sometimes I do hate when people that, like, me personally, guys, I hate when someone that is, like, obviously not good at the game, like, tries to, like commentate my tournament. It's like no, like, so sometimes like I'll be on a feature match, and like the guys that are commentating have like no idea what's going on, and it like makes me look bad, right? And like that does kind of annoy me, but at least in my position I have like enough like success to kind of give them my expertise, and I'm not shitting on them in any way. Like these guys, I'm not sure like what their tournament success is, but they literally just got a cereal, so congrats to them for real. But yeah, that's the board state right there, guys. That is reading board state. I put that in the Metafy guide as well. Like, there's a difference between reading board state in the beginning of the game, middle of the game, and the end of the game. Reading board state in the beginning of the game is kind of just like setting up to like what they can do, like kind of playing around like what the other player can do. Reading board state in the middle of the game is kind of like figuring out where the attacks are going, where like how much resources you're going to use like to protect the characters, right? And then at the end of the game, it's like, how long do I have until I just like die, right? And then like what's the lethal math, kind of like stuff like that. So it's very different depending on like when you actually like when you're reading board state. It really does matter. Now this guy is obviously looking for nose draw here, and he just doesn't see it, which is just fucking tragic. It's incredibly tragic. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. Because he did have the at your service, and he has Charlia here, and I'm pretty sure he just doesn't find like anything. Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, Charlia here. He's gonna find a war, his only target, and he's going to draw a card, and he pretty much just has nothing in hand. What did he draw off his thing? He's just gonna go 7 here. What did he draw? Mars? No, war. I'm sorry, guys, I can't tell. So he's gonna get 7 in the board, exactly what I told you should not do. And he's gonna let it go. I think he probably should block this one. No, he Garp events, protects it, and then he swings into it again. He just has the block, and then he swings into it for 8, plays the war, and he just passes. Now, like, obviously this is not a horrible turn, but the problem is, look, he still has 2 life. And he's going to play the elders first. So he's going to be able to clear this entire board. And he's going to have like no pressure into his own life. Now, obviously, he doesn't have the nose draw either, which like really hurts. I think if Christian here does have the nose draw, I do believe he wins this game. Because he can not only like apply pressure to this guy's board, but he also puts the opponent at 1 life. And then he just loses, right? So unfortunately for Christian, that is kind of like just how it goes. So I kind of feel for him on that front. And Kevin, I don't think played the last turn correctly by playing the Jupiter. So it does suck when you play pretty well, and your opponent just like has the curve that they want, or they have like whatever. Now I do believe this is probably the right call to block this, to get the extra card in hand. The problem is they're going to be able to clear 2 bodies. Like, they're going to be able to clear so many bodies either way. They're going to be able to clear a body with the nose draw, and then they're going to reduce something else by 3, and they're going to be able to reduce that as well. So let me fast forward it just a little bit, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to play the elders. He's going to do the thing. And then he's going to search with Saturn. He's probably going to find the Mars, because the Mars is a counter. He can't grab the Charlia. Yeah, you want to basically find counter, because now at this point in the game, the events are pretty much dead unless you were able to park your Elder. He's going to go nose draw. You should swing in the Jupiter here, and then you should reduce the Mars. The reason that you do that, guys, is here. Let me just back it up like 5 seconds. You swing into the Jupiter here because he only has 3 cards in hand. And you know one of them is probably the Elder. So he probably only has 2 actual like relevant, like at best 2 relevant counters in hand. And if you do protect the Jupiter with the 7, then when you go 5 into it, you can't protect it because that's probably the Elder. So if that's the case, then this Jupiter is dead no matter what. And best case scenario is you reduce this as well to 3, and then you can kill it with the Emu. So he's only starting the turn off with these 2 characters right here, and he's just in a really good spot. We'll fast forward it a little bit. So it's just gonna be. Yeah, sorry. It's 5. It's a 5 at life. He's gonna counter, uses leader effect to draw a card or whatever. Now, normally whoever starts the turn off with whoever starts attacking into board with more elders like wins. However, in this situation, because he doesn't have the nose draw, he kind of gets cooked here because he could have like attacked 7 into life, put him at 1 life, and then maybe killed nose draw. And it's because you swing 5 in the nose draw, and then you just basically, actually, I don't know, 7 in a life, you probably would have just blocked, and then you would have just countered and given blocked with the Mars, giving him a 1k. So you probably would have lost regardless. I don't know though, because he does have 3 life, so he could just in turn do the same thing. He can just block, and then like swing, and then like wall off behind the elders. When he has probably like 7 cards in hand, he'll have like 2 blockers. 2 blockers, 1 life. I think that's probably relevant, but at this point of the game, he just hardcore loses. Yeah, unfortunate for sure. I do think that even without the nose draw, I think Christian could have won if he would have done what I said and just attacked into his life when he had all 3 of these characters kind of at 7k. I think that would have been just so much better. But that's pretty much the end of the end of this game 1 right here. If you guys do want to see if you guys want to see game 2, I have to go to the bathroom really bad. But if you guys want to see game 2, I'll probably just put it for free. I'll put it for free on Metafy later tonight. Link for everything is going to be in the description below. I'm going to put like more free stuff on Metafy. Gameplay and VOD reviews. Everything that you guys see will be out later today. Thanks.